We spend a lot of time debating the first page of the Bible. But what if we're missing the forest for the trees? What if, hidden in plain sight, there's this incredible blueprint? One that doesn't just explain the beginning, but unlocks the entire biblical story. Well, today, we're going to trace that blueprint from creation all the way to new creation. Okay, so here's the idea. Let's just, for a moment, set aside the whole science versus history argument. What happens if we ask a completely different question? What if Genesis 1 isn't trying to be a modern science textbook, but something more like a theological mission statement? A document designed to tell us about the world's purpose, and maybe more importantly, our place in it.
All right, so a cosmic blueprint. Now, to appreciate any design, you gotta start with the raw materials, right? And for the biblical authors, the universe didn't begin from pure nothingness. It started from a state they described with a really specific and fascinating Hebrew phrase. That phrase is tohu va bohu. It means formless and empty. The picture here is of a dark, watery, wild, and unordered state. Now, this is absolutely crucial. This is not some evil chaos monster that God has to defeat, like you see in so many other ancient creation stories. Nope, it's simply potential. Think of it like a blank canvas, just waiting for the master artist to bring order and beauty. So order from chaos. How do we get from that formless potential to a world that's beautiful and filled with life? It all kicks off with the action of God's Spirit.
So the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Now that word for hovering is so cool. It's the same word used in other parts of the Bible to describe a mother eagle protectively watching over her nest. It's not a passive thing. It's this powerful, purposeful, and even caring presence, poised and ready to bring forth life. And the word for spirit? Well, that's got a universe of meaning all on its own.
The word is ruach. And get this, it means wind, but it also means breath, and it means spirit. All at the same time. It's the animating force. It's what turns a pile of dust into a living, breathing being. This is the dynamic, life-giving power of God right there on the scene from the very beginning. So when you put it all together, this hovering spirit is protective, it's life-giving, and it's all about bringing order out of non-order. And here's the kicker. This very same word, ruach, is used throughout the Bible to describe the inner force that drives our thoughts, our will, our emotions. It's the power that orders the cosmos, and it's the same power meant to order our inner lives. And the way this order unfolds is just brilliantly elegant. It's like watching a master architect. On days 1, 2, and 3, God forms the realms. He separates light and dark, sky and water, and brings forth dry land. Then, on days 4, 5, and 6, he fills those exact realms with inhabitants, the sun and moon, the birds and fish, and the land animals and humans. It's this perfect literary symmetry. And then comes day 7, the capstone. God doesn't create a thing. He consecrates time, the Sabbath, turning the whole of creation into a kind of temple in time. So, who gets placed at the very pinnacle of this new cosmic temple? We do. Humanity. And our job description was something that was completely and utterly revolutionary for the ancient world. Think about it. In ancient Babylon or Egypt, a king builds a temple, and what goes inside? A statue. An idol made of stone or gold to represent the god. Genesis just completely flips that on its head. It says the entire world is God's temple. And the image of God that goes in it, it's not some lifeless statue. It's you. It's me. It's living, breathing, creative humanity. And that's why making idols is such a big no-no in the Bible. It isn't just an arbitrary rule. The text is basically saying, don't bother making a cheap copy. Why would you, when the real living, breathing image is already here? You are the image. We were commissioned to reflect God's creative and ordering character into his world. So what's our job description? We are told to serve and to guard the Garden of Eden. And those two Hebrew verbs, abad and shamar, are really significant. Why? Because they are the exact same words used later on to describe the duties of the priests working in God's temple. So from the very start, humanity was given this royal priestly vocation. Our task was to take the sacred, ordered space of Eden and extend it, to cultivate and protect it until it filled the whole world. But this perfect blueprint gets challenged almost immediately. Remember, that chaos from the beginning wasn't eliminated. It was just contained. And a creature representing that disorder and deception slithers right back into the sacred space.
And listen, this serpent isn't just a one-off villain. You can think of it as the first appearance of a symbol for chaos that evolves throughout the entire Bible. It shows up again as a great sea monster, Leviathan, in the poetic books. It becomes the dragon, used to describe oppressive, chaotic empires like Egypt and Babylon. And by the time we get to the end, in Revelation, it has become the ultimate spiritual enemy of God and all of creation.
So, from this biblical point of view, the whole human story becomes this grand cosmic struggle. It's a battle to push back the forces of disorder that threaten God's good world and to reclaim our original calling as agents of his order.
Okay, so if the blueprint was compromised, what's the fix? Well, the rest of the Bible is essentially the story of restoring that original design, piece by piece. And it does this by constantly, deliberately echoing the imagery of Genesis.
Here's a perfect example. When God gives Moses the instructions for building the tabernacle, it's basically a blueprint for a miniature, portable Eden. Seriously, it's got guardian cherubim woven into the curtains, a lampstand shaped like a tree, the tree of life, and the whole thing is built following a 7-part pattern that mirrors the creation week. It's literally a project to restore a pocket of sacred, Eden-like order right here on Earth.
And this is just wild. Even the very symbol of chaos, the serpent, gets turned on its head. Remember in the wilderness when the Israelites are dying from venomous snake bites? God tells Moses to lift up a bronze serpent on a pole, and when people look at it, they live. The very thing bringing death becomes the source of life. It's this powerful, shocking reversal that the New Testament later picks up as a picture pointing straight toward the cross.
And this all brings us to the grand finale, where the last pages of the Bible form a perfect bookend with the first pages. In Genesis, the chaotic sea is present but bounded. In Revelation, it says there was no longer any sea. It's gone. In Genesis, the sun and moon are the light sources. In the end, God and the Lamb are the light. The tree of life, once guarded by angels, is now open to everyone for healing. The story has truly come full circle. You see, the end of the biblical story isn't about escaping a bad earth to go to a good heaven. It's about heaven and earth being fully reunited. It is the final, complete, and permanent restoration of that original Genesis blueprint. It's a new creation where our royal priestly role is restored and God's beautiful, life-giving presence fills absolutely everything. So that leaves us with a final thought. If this ancient blueprint is true, if we were actually designed from the beginning to be God's partners in bringing beauty and order out of chaos, what does that mean for us, right now? What chaos in your life, in your relationships, in your community, or maybe even just in your own heart, are you being called to bring a little bit of God's order to today?